Mish!
Hey, today I've got something that I think you guys will really dig. Over Christmas, I got my mitts on an Aegis Sigmar SteelHelms kit, and today I'm going to show you how I made a small kill team out of them. This kit is super detailed, and I'm going to have a lot of fun with it, but something about kettle helms, chainmail, and Imperial Guard really speak to me. But before we get into all that good stuff, I humbly ask if you like, comment, and subscribe if you liked what you see, it helps a lot, and let's get into the kit bashing. Let's go. The Tempestus Scions kit and the SteelHelms are just a match made in heaven. If there's one complaint I have for the Scions kit is that they're undeniably detailed, but still suffer heavily from that weird squat art direction that all Imperium miniatures used to have. But with the SteelHelms kit, you not only have a body type that is much more proportional, it also just fits really well with the rest of the Scions bits. The arms work really well, especially with the heavyset characters of this set. The battle priests, I want to call them. And on top of it, the Scions kit just has a cornucopia of bits. I mean, the amount of grenades, pouches, prayer books, canteens, all in one kit just worked so well for these guys. And you'll see the Scions kit pop up plenty later in the video. And on top of it, despite how detailed and how amazing the human faces look on modern GW miniatures, I really think these guys hold up. And yeah, they're a little cartoony for the time, but I think it works really well, and I really don't mind the cartooniness above everything else. In fact, I kind of appreciate it more. There's one thing that I don't like about modern GW kits, especially with human types, is that they're almost a little too realistic for my taste. I find that the best balance between cartooniness and good proportion size is the Necromunda line of miniatures. Maybe it's just me, I'm sure I'm not the only one that thinks this, but it seems like they almost have an entirely different art style compared to the, flagship Warhammer miniatures. I don't know, maybe I'll ramble about this later on in the video, but for now, this is where I kind of hit a snag with the miniature. I wanted to use this Death Guard cloak because I've had it since like 2018, and I knew that I had to use green stuff, and I absolutely suck eggs at green stuff. So I basically had to force myself to try something, and I knew fur was a very easy and simplistic method. I knew that I had done it before, and it works really well with a big commanding officer guy. He's gonna have a big fur coat. The initial batch of green stuff that I applied over the officer worked pretty well, actually. I was quite happy with it, but I didn't feel like it was big enough, and with how over the top this guy looks already, it was like, okay, I have to add more. So I added another batch, and I think it turned out pretty good. I'm a little happier with how I sculpted it the first time around. If I had to go back, I might have just left it be, but I don't know, I'm happy with it. As you can see here, I've primed it, and I haven't painted them yet, but the biggest thing that I always like to think about, even if I don't like how a miniature looks while kit bashed, is that it will look entirely different with a coat of paint on it. Again, I know I've already done a short on this character, but doing a little bit more detail would be fun. In fact, because of this character, I actually got inspired to do this entire video. She really is only a few parts that are really different from the base kit, that being the Skitarii rifle and the Genestealer backpack, and of course some grenades on her belt, but there's just something about this design that does it for me. I think it is just the rifle with the Eisenhut helmet, but I wanted to go a little further. So again, I picked up the green stuff, and there's a reason why I didn't add this to my previous short featuring this character. This was supposed to be chainmail, and to me it looks more like some sort of awful tryptophobia effect you'd pull with a Nurgle mini. This was like my third attempt to make the chainmail, by the way. I made one little mistake, and pun completely unintended, it made a chain reaction where it just ended up looking weird. And I just made the second row of chains too far away from the original. And I just kept filling in and poking different areas, as you can see. It just didn't work out too well. But I think in the end, once I added paint to it, it looked a lot better. So who knows, I might try it again sometime. Also, I would like to go over the painting process with this miniature later this week in a smaller video. I ended up picking up Ninjon's expansion to the Pearl Acryl series, and I used this miniature as kind of a means of testing the colors, and I liked the scheme so much that I decided to make this video. This is the thing I love about kitbashing though. All this miniature is just a few different parts, and some of the other ones in this tutorial are completely Frankensteined. Spur of the moment painting and building is just something that works best for me, I think. The Lich's laboratory really kind of drove this home for me. Leaning into the chaos is something that I really need to do more frequently. It's pretty much how I paint miniatures to begin with, so running my channel in the same way might be better. So this next guy is probably my favorite on the team. I wanted to use a kettle helm on a Skitarii head, and to do that, well, I had to, Well, that was a tad brutal, but it was necessary, and you can quote me on that one. After clipping the head off, I then began properly sanding it down, and I would trim a Skitarii melon to fit the helmet. I unfortunately didn't get this on camera, but the head I used from the Skitarii kit is the one without a hood. I'd then take another SteelHelms burly body, and then I'd use this doctor bag and a Narthecium gun from the Scions kit. And again, I'm just trimming these arms down to fit the body better. I don't really know what this thing is, but I feel like it's used for death surgery. I'd then take this Cawdor Gang pendant thing, and I'd trim it down slightly, mostly around the noose area. And then I would replace that with a parchment from the Sternguard Space Marine set. I'm really getting a lot of mileage out of that kit. During the process of building this guy, I kept bumping parts off. I picked up a new Tamiya cement jar, and it's just not working the same. Might have just picked up a dud. Seems like the parts just weren't adhering the way I wanted them to. Whatever, we got through it. But to finish off the medic, I'd then take a little Skitarii backpack, and I thought it just would look fitting with all the little incense tubes. And overall, I gotta tell you, this guy, I'm just so happy with. I'm really excited to paint him. And it's, I don't know, just everything about him just works so well together. I was gonna add some green stuff, but I'm really happy that I held off from it. He would have been too extra, and I feel like everything that's on him just works so well. The pose, the parts. I really don't think that I could have added anything else. So my team sniper is a good example of why I need more practice with green stuff. The slimmer bodies for the SteelHelms just don't really work all too well with the Skitarii. They leave a lot of gaps between the torso and the arms. To alleviate this, I used another Death Guard cloak, and I would try to add some green stuff to make the cloak transition better. I always forget how much green stuff tends to sag, and this is ultimately what made this mini the weakest of the set. As you can see, I continually try to remold and reshape, and on top of it, I would just make these little tears in the cape to make it look a little more natural and give me a little bit more wiggle room for the botches. I'm still happy with her overall, but she definitely gave me a few reminders that I have a long way to go as far as my molding skills go. Also, I totally put the servo skull on the base because I thought it looked cool and not because I thought it would cover up any less than impressive areas. Same with this little spike skull thing. Now that I look at it, it looks a little chaosy, but I kind of wanted something that would sort of push down on the lumpiness of the cape. I don't know. Probably could have done something different, but it is what it is. Prudence is just an example of how a little goes a long way. I really didn't do much for this figure, and all I really used was a Khador gang revolver and glued it seamlessly to the SteelHelms arms. The one thing that I feel like all these figures lack were the cool shields of the set. I specifically picked out this one with a little bit of parchment paper already attached. I then take my hobby knife and then I just sliced off that little doodad or whatever it is that's attached to it. I then clip a basic bitch purity seal and sand it down properly, and then just add some glue and voila, purity seal. And as one final thing, I clipped down a Scions backpack and I put it on her. Really not that much that I did for this figure, but I think she looks amazing. I've got a huge soft spot for plasma guns, and every squad should have one. My gunner was just another example of using the Scions kit to its fullest potential. These parts were clearly from an abandoned project that I had started ages ago. Still has some paint on him, but it don't matter. None of this matters. Can just clean it off after he's built. Unfortunately, the head I wanted to use got some Phantom Tamiya spilled on him. I don't know how that happened. And it left a rather undesirable mark. So I decided to break out the Dremel and I punched a couple dents in the helmet. Gotta make sure he's utilizing that kettle helm, right? I'd then add some grenades, and I'd add the Scion backpack once more, and this little knife. Gotta have a little backup just in case somebody gets a little too close. Though the leftover paint is kind of glaring on this figure, it'll look just fine once he's stripped and painted. Now to clarify, there was one final member of the squad, but yeah. This guy wasn't exactly something that I was super duper happy with. Most of the footage was also unusable, so that's probably for the best. I'm hoping to try more projects like this, and practicing my molding skills is something that I really want to do this year. Projects like these are a good first step, as they actually force me to do it. And despite the occasional botches, I think these guys look great. And I hope it was enjoyable for you guys. I'm sorry it took a little longer to make this video. I got inspiration at a very awkward time, and as a result, I had to push things back, push another thing back, you know. But on a better note, I'd like to officially announce that we hit 2,000 crawdads. This time I'm hoping to make a 2K sub special that'll be out in a timely manner, unlike the last one, but I don't know, no promises, can't stop me, I do what I want, meh. Alright. Getting a little ahead of myself. I think it's about time that we wrap this video up. I've got some good stuff brewing for the next one, and I'll leave you with a mishmash, kitbash, and paint some fantastic miniatures. And you're gonna. I promise. See ya.